Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. It is me, Cyber Warrior, and I have with me here today Sir Alberto Daniel Hill, an amazing person, someone who I've been following for a little while on Twitter and keeping up with his story and just how things have been going. Been on Darknet Diaries and a lot of other things. So, what we want to talk about today, after I have Alberto introduce himself, is going to be cyber crimes, justice within the cyber industry, as well as how you can protect yourself. So, as we're getting started, Alberto, why don't you let everybody know what's going on and kind of how everything kind of came to be?
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. And well, actually, it's very easy. Cybercrime, uh, it's not going to stop. Justice, there is no justice. How to protect ourselves? We can't. It's that easy. I see things that way. Regarding cybercrime, it's something that is getting worse and worse and worse, and we're losing the battle against cybercrime. Uh, Things are getting every time much complicated in order to be protected against cybercrimes. Uh, Something that didn't happen in the past. Uh, Targets such as hospitals are now very appetitive for criminals. Those things didn't happen 10 years ago, so the context has completely changed. And the targets of cybercrime are causing a lot of problems in the world, stopping organizations from operating, governments. And in the case where I live in Uruguay, it's a huge issue because we don't have the resources, the human resources, in order to protect our systems against those kind of attacks. I mean, we are being victims of attacks that came from Russia, and we cannot compete. It's like stealing a candy from a child. They attack us from Russia, and they do whatever they want with our systems, and that happens all the time. Sometimes the information is leaked, and we know about it, but most of the time we don't know what's going on. And I am completely sure, I have no doubts that all the systems in our country are being attacked, and in most of the times successfully, and they're stealing information from our systems. Our systems are being compromised. Why? Because we don't have the people to do things to protect those systems. The agencies of the government lack of the people with the knowledge to handle those kind of things. There's a lack of awareness of the importance of security. There is money. The money is not a problem here because we get a lot of loans from outside. I mean, the money is not a problem. The problem is the mind of those who have the power of decision and take politics strategies in order to protect our country. And in the past 6 months, the Ministry of Defense was attacked by a Russian organization, and they stole like 13 gigabytes of confidential information. And that was, they found out because somebody from Mexico was in the dark web, and he found in a market that somebody was selling that information for $500,000. And he posted that in Twitter, and he tagged me in the post. And I was like, oh no, he tagged me in the post. The government will think I'm involved with this. I will go to prison again. So no. And well, then the Ministry of Defense uh, couldn't deny that because there were the screenshots with some documents, and they always do the same. They try to say that it was something minor. They try to uh, denied that it was something serious, that they tried to uh, mm, put doubts about the people who reports that. So they try to create that they try to say that the person who report that is something that is not credible. They try to minimize the problem, and they said in the media that the information was not uh, important. The information was labeled as confidential in the screenshots, and they say it's not important. Come on, man. And the worst part of all this is that the Ministry of Defense said that the hacker who did that was identified and he was dumb. He was a dumb hacker. Oh my God, how can somebody? I mean, they didn't know who did that, and they say that's just for the press, just for the people to make them think that they actually knew who did that. But you cannot tell a hacker or a hacker organization that they are dumb. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do. If I'm a hacker if I'm the hacker who did that, I would go and destroy everything. Don't play with those things with the hacker, because you don't know who is behind all that, and you have to be careful, and you have also to think. I mean, who is the damn person, the hacker or the Ministry of Defense that was hacked? Uh, I think it's ridiculous. So cybercrime is here, particularly in my country, is a big issue, and we are in serious trouble. The things that are going on are very serious. And about the things that happened to me, my case, people stop reporting security problems that they found in the systems of the government, because they are afraid of having the same problems that I did have. So what do they do? They contact me asking me for advice. So they tell me problems that are in the systems, and I said, I don't want to hear that. So I am like the third of the country right now. People try to talk to me and ask for advice, and they don't want to report that to the CERT because there are no legal warranties of what can happen to them. I mean, I went to prison because there was a law that I did a port scanning in a system. Basically, that's the link that they made with me, and as a post crime, a sport scanning. I do that when I
And
go to my bank. I do that everywhere.
and that's the
I
funny thing is
mean,
because like port scanning, we tell companies like I've been a consultant for a while, whether as a security engineer working in the blue team and helping companies stand up SIM and things like that. We tell companies all the time, like if you're trying to get alerts on every port scan, your inbox is going to be full because your network scanned all the time, all day, every day. Like there's no way around it. So the fact that they did that to you based off of a port scan is utterly ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm just saying the fact that they did that to you is crazy because they should not. Like your networks are scanned all the time. Every country, every company in the world, they're constantly getting scanned. I mean, I have a website up and I guarantee you that's scanned on a regular basis. So for that to happen it just blows my mind. And
yeah,
you
and
know,
imagine Shodan should be sent to prison. Shodan is doing that all the time.
yep.
Imagine that. I mean, Shodan does it all the time. They are scanning for vulnerabilities in all the networks, uh, and the CERT do not take legal actions against Shodan. It's something crazy.
Yeah, and no one does anything about Shodan. No one. And the fact is, Shodan is more invasive if you think about it than any other scanner out there. Solely because it is looking for people that are running your most basic like webcams that are open to the internet. It's looking for all these different things with the .cgis and stuff. So with the exception of your hacking groups and your hackers that are actually out there, looking for this stuff, Shodan does it on a regular basis. They're constantly scanning the entire internet looking for this stuff. And so a lot of people You take any security researcher, that's not what we do. We go to a site that maybe has a bug bounty on it, and we're like, okay, what can we do? What can we find? What's there? What might not be there? Or we're a pen tester and we've got a contract with a company. So the fact that scans are getting people arrested just boggles my mind. And ever since researching and listening to your story, that's always boggled my mind. And one of the
Yes.
questions that we had, and actually I got to scroll up and find it now. Somebody asked,
Wow, Washington Beer is here. Oh my God. Hello, Washington Beer.
yes, Helsington Bear has showed up. Davin Jackson's here. Eric is here. One of the questions, though, is are you saying that we need more people to work in cybersecurity? Now, in Uruguay in particular, because of where you're located, is that, I know it's an issue in the US. Is that an even bigger issue where you're at?
It's much bigger here. I mean, the problem here is huge. The people that works for the government agencies, for example, in IT, they are programmers and they don't have people actually that work in security. The direction of identification of the country that holds all the information of all the citizens with it's the agency that is in charge of creating the IDs of everybody. So we go there, they take us the pictures, our fingertips, our biometric information that is stored in a chip. And that agency was hacked in December of last year, and it was only known because a journalist released that information because somebody, an insider, was so upset that that happened that he leaked the information to the journalist. And the person said, we are only 4 people working in IT, and I have mentioned many times to my boss that we have potential security problems, that we need to improve the security of the system, and they didn't pay attention to those the requests. They didn't consider it important, and then they got hacked. Then after that, the Ministry of the Interior said that it was not a big issue, that nothing was stolen. But then he attacked the journalist who published that, and I was interviewed on the radio. That was interesting. And the fact is that they found out that they had attackers inside the system for 2 months. 2 months were being with inside the network of that agency that has the information of the 3 million people that live in Uruguay is stored there. And they didn't have backups. That's the worst part of all that. They didn't have backups. So that's terrible. Imagine with this that I'm telling you, you can have an idea of how bad the situation is here. We are like exposed. We are like a bank that has its vault open, and you can go grab the money. I mean, for people that work in this field, listening to this reality is something that you cannot believe it. It's like this can't happen. This is a lie. But no, it is real. It is my story. My story sounds crazy, but it is real. It happens. It is happening here.
Oh, definitely, and I completely understand and believe it. And that's the crazy thing is, I mean, I look at what happened to you. I look at what's going on in the world, and the fact that in other countries, in Uruguay, and even more countries than that, how bad the security is. Now, don't get me wrong, in the US, I personally think we're horrendous with our security. But the fact that, from the stories you tell and just the prosecution and the way things have gone with yourself is just, it really puts a hamper on securing anything, because now, whereas here we have the ability to use HackerOne or BugCrowd, or even get pen test gigs, it seems like there, if anybody were to just run a port scan, like, nobody's going to test the network. So you just have hackers exploiting everything. And hold on, let me correct my statement. You have criminals exploiting things on a regular basis, and that's the sad part. Saying that, we do have a question from Osington Bear that says, "CAPTCHA says prove you're human." So I'm just wondering. I mean, because I'm not, and then we got I'm not human. I passed CAPTCHA. Is that an exploit? So Osington Bear got past CAPTCHA. So I don't know.
I'm not talking about captchas because that was the first issue that I was able to avoid in the medical system that I access with admin. The first thing was getting rid of the captcha that was being shown, and after getting rid of the captcha as a control, I put admin. So my first step into entering into this hell was getting rid of a captcha. So I don't talk about captchas.
so saying that, though, like I said, we're here to talk about. We know cybercrime is huge. We've seen the ransomware. You've seen the hospital systems. I've read the news articles all across the U.S., Europe, Uruguay. I mean, hospitals are getting hit like crazy now just because of how out of date their systems are. Truly, beyond just the security flaws, they're just extremely out of date because they have these older operating systems that companies haven't come around and upgraded. They're not offering software to upgrade it, and if they are, they're taking advantage of the hospitals by forcing them to pay more money. And we're talking millions of dollars to get a lot of this stuff fixed. So we know banks were on COBOL code for God knows how long. Is there anything to prevent cybercrime within some of these infrastructures where it's really important, like hospitals, like banks, and a lot of your critical infrastructure? Like, what can we do to help that situation?
Well, what you mentioned about, first of all, about the USA, that you consider that the situation is also bad. Uh, I think that first, when it comes to prosecution of certain crimes, I mean, I'm talking, for example, of cyberbullying, cyber harassment, um, things that happen to average people. I talking to people in Twitter and other places. They tell me that they are frustrated because law enforcement do not take into seriously those things, and they basically do nothing. But on the other hand, I think that your country, when it comes to big things, or big attacks and organized crime related to cybercrime, they do have the tools. They when they want to get cyber criminals, they do it. I mean, they have the resources, and they got the guy from Silk Road. We don't know how they got the IP really, but they have the technology and the human resources to really work well when it comes to protecting people from cyber crimes. But I think my perception is that they do not care about individuals. When it comes to individuals having problems, being hacked, being victims of cybercrime, they don't care. They don't use those resources for the people. They use them just for big cases, and well, then they show on the media how good they are. I mean, I don't know. That's my perception. When it comes to the other thing about critical infrastructure, in my country, we have the CERT. Supposedly, the CERT is in charge of uh, having um, monitoring, identifying all the critical infrastructure of our country, and giving them support in order to be protected. But when it comes to doing things, the CERT it's an structure that, for me, lacks of any credibility, lacks of any. I mean, I don't trust the CERT. They stabbed me from behind. The people that work there are not compromised with their work, so that's a big issue. We have a
Yeah,
bank, the most important bank of our country, uh, bought a software recently. They migrated an old version of their system. They bought a system for $50 million, and it's based on. It was developed in a certain language that is from a company here in Uruguay, and uh, it has have many problems, and they were hacked. They were hacked, and they had to recognize it, admit it. They minimized the situation, but we are really in a bad position. So
yeah, I completely agree, and it's you talked about cyberbullying. I mean, and yes, critical infrastructure. When it comes to large organizations, when it comes to large companies, the U.S. government steps in. They do the FBI and Lord knows who else, the CERT and all that. They step in to kind of fix those things. But I myself have been helping a friend who's dealing with account takeovers and bullying, and just hey, you can't do anything about it. I'll just delete your accounts and this, that, and the third. But nobody cares. And yeah, there's organizations out there that say, hey, we can do things for you. But the reality of it is, no police station knows how to handle it because it's local. And if they're not, if they don't have money, and let's be completely honest, and at least in the US and quite a few other countries, the only thing that matters is the dollar. So if you don't have money, then they don't care. It's not going to reach any large, nobody's going to help you. And I think that's been a huge issue. And how you're talking about the CERT being able to do things in Uruguay and what you guys have. I mean, if security isn't a priority to begin with, and they're not willing to stand behind security researchers and people like that, then are they really helping the situation?
that, for example, the first thing they should do is start with bug bounty programs. Start creating big bug bounty programs so people can report security problems, being rewarded, and having legal warranties that no actions will be taken against them. The CERT has the power and has the, I mean, they are able to do that. And it's something that, for me, I think it's really easy. It's really easy to implement. It's not something that requires to buy infrastructure or nothing. It's just a paper, a legal paper that creates that, and then just start working. Come on, we're not talking about something that, okay, how do people report things here? They can do it through the CERT. Most of them don't do it anymore because of what happened to me. And that is something that it's a big issue, because before they were being prevented from, when somebody good found security issues, they report that to the CERT. That for them was the most important input they could have in order to protect the systems. Now they don't have them. Okay, do something to change that. Give legal warranties that if you report something, you will not have consequences about those reports. And how to do that? Bug bounty. In the world, that model works. I mean, you don't have to invent again the wheel. It works in the world. Do it here. Act. Do something. But it's what I was telling you. They are not compromised with the security. They just like are in a structure that is there for what? I mean, I wonder what's the cert for. I mean, what's the purpose of it if they don't do anything?
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree. And I think from a policy standpoint, it's easy to fix things. Honestly, in my mind, people just need to get behind it. And it's very basic stuff as far as look, allow your security research to report things. If they're not exploiting it, if they are not making money from it or leaking data, which could be easily proven, then hey, let them say, hey, there's this vulnerability, there's this way into your network, there's this, that, and the third. And look, if they're that concerned about security, you can sign up, and I believe in just about any country for HackerOne and BugCrowd and things like that. I'm sure there's ways to do it. So okay, sign up through one of these areas, put your restrictions on what people are allowed and not allowed to do. And if they go beyond that, beyond the scope of what they're allowed, then it is very easy to then say, hey, you went outside of scope. Granted, you reported it, but you're outside of scope. So how they want to approach it from there is on them. But I do think that either open source like bug bounties need to become a larger institution, or they need to really put into place something that allows for people like yourself to go in and be like, look, I didn't exploit anything. Excuse me. I didn't do anything. I didn't break into your network. I simply found this vulnerability with my own account, and here it is. Like, without you getting in trouble. And the fact that that does not exist where you're at is a huge issue.
Yes, it's a very complicated. I mean, it's something that if you think it's easy to solve. I mean, it's easy to improve those problems. I mean, it doesn't require much, but it's not being done. And as you also mentioned earlier, the systems are mostly old. They were programmed years ago. They weren't developed using a secure development cycle, and they surely have many security flaws issues. And to upgrade or correct those problems, wow, yeah, that requires a lot of resources, and it's a headache to fix those things. And we have plenty of those scenarios where private organizations and from the government and public organizations are running programs that were created like 20 years ago. And to enter into that code, you have to be a magician. I mean, you have
Right.
to be I don't know. And it, the thing is that when it comes to critical infrastructure, when it comes to critical systems, you don't have to think twice. You have to take security seriously. You don't have to doubt or to stop doing things. You have to do things and establish controls, protocols, a baseline that says, okay, you are let's suppose a hospital. The baseline of security is this one, and we will make an audit on that. You have to comply with that. If you don't, you have to shut down the system. You cannot operate if you don't comply with this baseline of security that is a must. And in
Right.
the USA, for example, if a medical provider has a data breach and information of medical records are being leaked, uh, the government puts a fine according to the number of records that have been leaked. So if they leak 10,000 records and the fine for record is $10 to say something, they have to pay $100,000 for the leak. Uh, Okay, and they have to inform the people that are being victims of that the information has been leaked. Here, it's all silence. Don't speak. They don't tell people when their information has been compromised. Well, that's something that is also for me terrible.
Oh,
People
for
should be
sure.
identify when their information has been compromised or there's a possibility that the information of them has been compromised. They cannot say nothing. They have to tell people, I want to know if my medical information was compromised, leaked, or was potentially leaked. I want to know because I am the owner of that information. It's my life, it's my information, and I have the right to know what's happened and who has that information.
Right. And that's where a lot of things have come from. And a lot of the regulations and policies within the US is based on that information, and why Europe became, or I think, yeah, Europe came up with GDPR and all that, is just knowing who owns your data and what's going on. So, and you're not wrong. So one of the questions from Gabriel came in. Do you think the point of not having legal protections for security researchers allows government to control information about national security issues? And I'm not intending a conspiracy theory. So basically, he's wondering if by not having any protections, it's allowing them to control any issues that may arise.
Yes, first of all, not having legal protection is not intelligent from my point of view. It has involves many problems, but when it comes to giving control to the government, uh, no, I don't think so. Uh, I think that that causes more trouble, and that generates that the attacks that we are victims and they are leaked puts the government in a very bad position regarding the the perception of the people about them. Uh, I don't think that the not having legal protection for security researchers allows the government to to have more control about the security issues. Uh, Maybe they can use it as a tool to shut up somebody who finds like something like they did with me. They shut me up because they just uh, sent me to prison and didn't allow me give me an instant to explain the whole context and the whole story that was never told. It was a tool to okay, this happened. We grabbed this person. We sent him to prison. I couldn't express myself about it for many months because I had no communication. All the information leak that was released by the press release from the police was all a lie, was a big lie. All the information that was sent to the media was information that was not correct, that didn't include information that was relevant, information that was false. They mentioned, for example, that they traced me because the extortive email that was received was traced to me because of my IP. Man, the investigation took 6 months. Linking an IP address to a person here in Uruguay is grabbing the telephone and asking, okay, this is the IP, where is it from? It takes 5 minutes, not 6 months. And second, when I had access to the file, they never uh, grab any IP from the supposed email that I received. Uh, why did they lie about that? They didn't come to me because of the an IP. I mean, first of all, I have been working here for 20 years. Somebody who has worked for 20 years in cybersecurity normally doesn't send an extortive email from the IP of his house. Normally, sometimes maybe we do, uh, but come on.
It's
Here's what he
funny.
said.
As soon as you,
Uh,
right before you said that, Eric put in chat, Alberto, you should have used VPN.
Yeah, now I send extortive emails from a VPN in Estonia, but I have learned that the hard way. Sorry, I was too naive and I didn't realize that.
So
So
before that, Osington Bear did come on, and he did say bye, and he wants to give you cuddles and
oh,
hugs.
oh,
Um,
he's so
so
sweet.
he had to leave. Unfortunately, Osington Bear had to leave us. But yeah,
Be-
so getting a little bit deeper into this, we got to talk about protecting yourself, and this goes, and I think we can address this in several aspects as a security researcher, and just in general, protecting yourself online, specifically because you brought up cyberbullying and things like that. And of course, I've had issues that I've been dealing with a friend of mine, and account takeovers. So when it comes to protecting yourself, what is the best course of action you have been able to do to protect yourself online as a security researcher and somebody that works in security? And then I'm sure with everything you went through, you had to deal with some backlash from it from other people. So what have you found the best way to protect yourself with that?
well, unfortunately, uh, after what happened to me, I had to reevaluate the way I was doing things. And after being released from prison, I mentioned that I found two severe security issues in two important systems that I didn't report. I just for my ego, I took a snapshot. I encrypted it to have uh, as a good memory of the moment that I could access to certain system. But there's no way, not in this lifetime, I was going to report that. I mean, but on the other hand, it made me feel like guilty or bad because I was I was in a system and I was thinking, okay, if this is not fixed, somebody else, maybe a bad guy, can do the same. And I won't mention what system were, but they could affect a lot of people. So, but uh, I couldn't report that. And everything I did was obviously like before using VPNs and all kind of protections. But when I first did my report about admin, the email I sent was, okay, I could access with admin to this website. I gave the URL using this IP address. So come on, here it is. 2 months before the supposed attack in the medical provider happened, I report a huge problem in an insurance company because I had a car accident and they sent me an SMS with a code to enter into the system and track the process of the insurance. And I found out that I could access to all the information of the insurance company, all the complaints, all the information about all the accidents, car accidents, the medical information linked to those accidents. So I sent an email to the CERT and I said, okay, in this insurance company, I found this and I could access to this and I use this IP address and I grant you the authorization to use my code to enter the system to check that out. So I was giving them everything in their hands and trying to protect. I mean, I access from this IP address using this username and this PIN code, and you can use it to confirm it. I mean, I was granting them all to check that and act accordingly. Uh, I have always been very careful with when it comes to that. My only mistake was to send an email from my house being extorted without using a VPN.
But see, the
But
crazy part about that is, I don't mean to cut you off, but what blows my mind is you gave them every possibility to correct a flaw. And with everything you've done, you've always given them the opportunity to correct their issues, and then you got arrested. And it blows my mind because here in the US, we talk about, especially when I talk about protecting yourself, it's always use VPNs, use a wireless network that's not yours. So go to a public Wi-Fi somewhere, send emails over VPN, use things like Proton Mail or anything that's going to help encrypt your traffic. And you use all these steps. But at the end of the day, even if you would have done that, yeah, you may not have gotten arrested in the back end because you could have like hidden your traffic all the way around from everything you've done, but they still wouldn't have fixed the issue. They still would not have addressed the problem at hand, and that's even worse. And we wonder why. And I see this in companies to this day as a consultant, where companies really drag their feet on fixing security vulnerabilities. Now, when things like Print Nightmare come up or whatever, they're like, oh, okay, we got to fix this now. But you see some of these things that it's like, hey, if you have this vulnerability and you have this vulnerability, you're screwed, because now they can just creep their way all the way through because of how it works out. And they're like, oh, yeah, but they're low. Yeah, but a low plus another low. Come on now, we're building up here to something. And so it really turns into this issue where we have to protect ourselves as security researchers. Anybody. Look, and Alberto, I mean, you felt the wrath. And there's one other person I know of that felt the wrath. And for the life of me, I can't remember his name right now. All I know is he went by the Robin Hood hacker. And he got thrown in jail by the New York Times. And because he reported a vulnerability to them they didn't want to fix. Unlike you, he decided to be an asshole and start abusing their systems. Like, hey, I reported this. You don't want to fix it. You don't want to hear me out on how to fix it. All right, fine. We're going to start using all your paid systems. And so you did something he didn't do. I mean, granted, you both reported it, but when they turned him down, he was just kind of like, all right, fuck you then. I'm just going to use it and tag. I'm going to basically put a signature in everything I do. So he got thrown in jail. So it was, he did something worse than you did, but it took for him to do that to get thrown in jail. Whereas what you have done has been all legit, has been all, look, I found this. I didn't abuse anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm literally telling you I found this. And so I think when we look at the aspect of protecting ourselves, we really have to consider the fact that different countries are going to have to address it in different ways. Because where you're at, they don't want to address it at all.
Yes, absolutely. And for example, in my case, when I was arrested and I realized why I was arrested, I wasn't aware of I had no knowledge about the laws and all that was involved in that. I was a completely ignorant. And here we have, for you to know how bad we are, we don't have laws about computer crimes. We don't have legislation that contemplates computer-related crimes. In the USA, you have, you can commit, you have plenty of laws. I mean, everything you do might eventually be a crime in the USA. Here, there are no laws regarding computer crimes. Everything is prosecuted by analogy. For example, in the case of this extortive email and extortion, it was filed, and the case was under the name of extortion, as a typical extortion from last century. I mean, you extortion.
But how did they
Yeah.
get you for extortion when you didn't even ask for anything? You simply said, hey, this is
No,
this is
because the
fucked. You
medical
might want to
provider.
fix it.
No. The fact is that they receive an email asking for certain amount of bitcoins not to release the informatical provider. When after a year I was released from prison, I read the email, and the email said, send I don't remember the number of Bitcoins, to the following address. And there was no address in the mail. So how can they pay for the ransom? I mean, if the company wanted to pay, where do I send the Bitcoins? It was empty. It was like, what the hell? And they are accusing me of that. That's an insult. I mean, that's the
Right?
most
Like, come
pathetic
on.
attack in the world.
At
I mean,
least you
that's
would
the
give
most
them a
pathetic
Bitcoin
attack.
wallet to send it to.
No, it has no. And when I read that, I said, nobody realized that. Nobody in the CERT who initiated the investigation pointed out this. Nobody in Interpol, sorry, that was Alexa. Nobody in Interpol realized that. I mean, no, the first question that the prosecutor should have asked me was, why didn't you include a way of payment for this? No, they asked me about a USB killer. That I mean, they asked me why a pendrive had a virus. No, ask me how were you supposed to get paid if you didn't include the payment information? No, it was me who had to read the file and point that out. That shows you the incompetence, the ignorance that is behind all that. And I was a victim of all that stupidity, and that really makes me angry and upset, because what I had to live should never have happened. All
No,
the
not at all.
elements that are there are things that are crazy. Where I live in hell with no reason. There's something unforgivable, unforgettable, unforgivable.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so, looking forward, you seem to know a lot about policy, procedure, and regulation in other countries, especially the U.S. and things like that. So, given that I'm looking to develop more of a global audience, right, and people across the world can watch YouTube, Twitch, and things like that. In your opinion, what would be the best way to really protect security researchers? Is it simply just do what BugCrowd and HackerOne say? Or if they are finding things on sites outside of what is available there, how can they secure themselves there? Like, what would be the best way to protect yourself from that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And actually, first of all,
I'm gonna let you
no,
answer this and talk for a little bit. I'll be listening. Don't worry.
yeah. Uh, First of all, in each country, each researcher should, first of all, before begin, they should learn and know about the laws that applies to computer-related crimes and not computer-related crimes. I mean, they should know about the legislation and the laws. That's something, that's knowledge that is required in order to be aware that something that you might think is something innocent, or something that is not a crime might actually be a crime. So knowing the laws are the first step in order to proceed with research and doing things, uh, finding vulnerabilities in systems and all that. And then, well, the justice system has also to be able to um, be, do their things, do their job, with the, I don't know. They have to evaluate each case in particular and try to act with, I don't know how to say it. I mean, you have to see each situation, because each situation is different from another, and you cannot put all in the same bag. I mean, all the people that did this, they commit this crime. You have to, I mean, like this guy from WannaCry. uh, this guy from WannaCry was actually receive a sentence. The legal process was shit, because he has to stay in the USA for like 2 years without having money. But then the sentence of the judge was pretty intelligent. He got uh, um, I mean, he was found guilty. I don't remember exactly how, but he was not found guilty, which the judge was took into consideration all the context, the past of the person. He took many elements in order to arrive to a verdict and give us and resolve the case. In my case, for example, they didn't even look at my LinkedIn account. They didn't know I was an information security professional. They didn't know what they don't know what OSINT is. They don't know what open source intelligence is. If they go to my LinkedIn account, they can see and they can expect what to find in my house. When they came to my house for the search warrant execution, they were all surprised by the things they found. Okay, guys, this is the house of a person that has been working in security for 20 years, is very curious. His life is about hacking and security. He loves that. He has all the gadgets, all the tools that are available because he loves to play, to research, to learn. This is not strange. Look at his profile. It completely fits the profile of a person like that. No, all they thought was, okay, all these tools are weapons of a criminal. That was the mind of the police. Oh man, come on. Let me give me a chance to explain all this first, and before that, do your homework. I mean, use open source intelligence. You put Google in my name, and I will show up who I am and what I do. They accuse me that they say that I used to access to sites related to Bitcoins. So that was a confirmation that I was guilty because they were monitoring my activity on the internet using a software for espionage without a judge order. And they said to the press that I was accessing to sites related to Bitcoins. If you look for my information, I was working with Bitcoins. I was completely full time working with cryptocurrency. So yes, I did access to sites related to Bitcoins, of course. But no, the interpretation was he accessed to sites related to Bitcoins. He is guilty of asking Bitcoins for this and asking Bitcoins without. I mean, I have experience also in cryptocurrencies. Uh, and it's completely crazy to think that I could have sent an extortive email from asking for ransom without putting an address to deposit the bitcoins. That's crazy. I mean, nothing makes sense. Sending an email from my IP of my house, sending a ransom request without a wallet. That is an insult for me. I mean, I feel aggravated. Uh,
Because you
that's
don't
all I
do this
have.
for a living or anything, Alberto. Not at all.
Uh,
I don't
well,
get it, and I feel so bad because you've since getting out, you've come a long way, and you've been doing a lot, and you're doing a lot of good in the community, and I really respect it because you're putting out a lot of good information and allowing people to understand that cybersecurity is different based on where you live. In the US, we have some protections. Granted, they're not the best. And we don't have anything for individuals that are getting cyberbullied. We don't have anything for individuals that are having account takeovers or anything like that. So I think globally, there's still a lot that can be done. However, some countries are worse than others. And in your case in point, what you went through, you should have never had to go through. And so I hope that people that watch this understand and really, really, truly understand that between the diversity of different countries and just the different laws, regulations, or lack thereof, that based on where you're at, you have to do your research because you can't just sit there and port scan a system and expect not to be prosecuted, not to have someone come after you because it's different everywhere. And again, like I told you earlier, Alberto, and everybody else in the U.S., I used to tell companies all the time, if you're being port scanned, okay, your point. Are they getting in? Are they attacking accounts like
Yeah,
doing port scanning? All right, cool.
drop, drop packet, and stop bother me because I don't want to more alerts. I mean, it's driving me crazy. Drop packet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, as you
So
said, I would go crazy.
yeah, and so before I've got a new show coming up in collaboration with Cyber Papa with Eric Bellardo. Before I introduce him, the last story I'll have is I had a client. This is years ago before I was working as a consultant. I was working as a security engineer who wanted to go after my analysts because they weren't getting results from a pen test. Now, mind you, this pen test had they never gained access. It was really brute forcing, password spraying, all the normal things you see on people's accounts. And I had to inform this client that if you want alerts from your SIM, every time that happens to you, you will get alerts all day. It will never change. All day, you will see alerts. Now, mind you, could things have been better? Sure. But they never gained access. So what am I going to alert? What am I going to send you emails on? Because if you want emails for these things, then you'll just never have an empty inbox because you're just going to get emails from us all day. So yeah, that was fun. That's my experience dealing with SIM architecture and clients that just want alerts on everything, apparently. But look, Alberto, it's been great having you. And if you hang out backstage, we'll talk a little bit more here in a little bit. But as we're closing out, me and Eric Bellardo and Cyber Papa have a new show coming out. And I'm going to let him introduce it, mainly because it is on his channel. And it's all about kind of what you're talking about, Alberto, with protecting yourself online, only more from the general population side. So I'm going to bring Eric in. He's going to introduce himself in the show. And Alberto, dude, it's been great talking to you. I'm glad you were able to provide the audience with this information because a lot of people don't understand how different it is in different countries. And I truly do think that what you have going on is amazing and something that we really need to dig into more. But without further ado, and Eric or Alberto, Eric's saying keep you on a little bit longer. So I'm going to bring Eric on to kind of introduce what's going on and see what he has to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, come on. That's the warm welcome I get. Come on. All right. Alberto, I promise I won't hack you. Okay?
Please,
Sir,
I beg
will you give me your credit card, please, sir?
And sir, please, can you teach me to hack, sir? Please, sir. Oh my God, that's a nightmare. Stop it. No more.
All right, guys. Well, Alberto, I've been watching, I've been moderating the chat, and it's been a wonderful show. In case some of you didn't know, Alberto did a Spanish-speaking Twitter Spaces last night. And because of him, I didn't go to sleep until almost 12 o'clock midnight because it went, I think, 3 hours that you guys did.
Yeah, it was amazing. I really love it. It was wonderful. I mean, and I could have keep talking for like 5 more hours.
Yeah, we were just getting to the conversation on cryptocurrencies and why it's good and bad, and the conversation just stopped there. So I'm gonna have to get you guys on a show so we can talk about cryptocurrencies, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. I currently have three miners going right now. I've got Monero over here, I've got Bitcoin over here, and I've got Ethereum going over here.
I need to get my Monero miner going again. When I build my new computer and get an actual graphics card in it that's good, I'll start doing it again. Or maybe I'll do it with my old computer when I'm not using it. I'll just let it mine Monero off of Linux the whole time.
I won't do it because maybe it is a crime to mine in Uruguay, and I don't know. I have a miner. I have a dash miner here. I have a dash miner here that I don't plug because it's not rentable. I mean, I will lose money, but they didn't say it. They didn't know what it was. I mean, they thought it was a power supply or something like that. Because maybe I was accused of having a bomb. I don't know. And you know what? Let me tell you this. I was so worried because I have this thing, and I was worried that they would charge me and say I was using this thing to film child's girls.
No, you were spying on China, Alberto.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing.
yeah.
From Uruguay, you were
I
spying on
was
China.
worried that. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, oh, please don't grab this thing because they will think I am filming little girls. No, and I was so worried. It was like I was so in the hands of people so stupid that could interpret anything from reality. So I was really scared of that.
Well, I'm going to say this in Spanish, okay? Tú tienes que mudarte a los Estados Unidos. I just told him he got to move to the United States, man.
I was going to say, I don't understand Spanish like that.
I will say this in plain English. I will have to marry you first to get my green card.
Oh, look at that.
That's not true anymore. I'm not going to say why, but that's not true anymore. You'll be all right.
Well, hold on. I go to the dark web and I buy a fake green card, man. I do that all the time. Go. I mean, what's the problem? I mean,
dude, just go to Florida. You'll be all right.
But use a VPN.
Look, look, man.
Sir, can you teach me what's VPN to use, sir? Please.
Look, I love you guys, and this is great. But truly, Eric, Cyber Papa, we have a big show coming up.
That's correct.
That I think will help a lot of people. And me and we have been talking on offline for a while, solely based off of you reached out to me off of what I've been doing for Lady Frost, a wrestler, a professional wrestler, and a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine. I grew up with her husband and everything else. And we're still dealing with the backlash of that and some more nonsense. And so when you reached out to me about your show and you reached out to me about some other things you're doing, it really hit home for me. So please, beg you, let the people know what you have going on and where me and you are going to collaborate here in the future, in the coming weeks on Thursdays.
That is correct. So for everybody out there, we have a new show that's starting next Thursday. It's called Cyber Papa's New Battlefields. And the content of this program is to show people what are the current news, important information on cybersecurity, online safety, things like misinformation, disinformation, which is a hot topic right now that you see people putting things in the Facebook and the Twitter and all of those different things. What we want to do is bring in some guests, bring in some people and be interactive, kind of like what we did today here with all the questions, but we want to make it interactive. We're going to have a panel of experts in those fields talking about what is the hottest things that are happening in those themes, and having you as the audience be able to ask questions, interact with our guests, and much, much more. We're going to be doing some giveaways. Please make sure you tune in Thursday, 7 o'clock on Eric Bellardo Cyber on YouTube. Look for it here. And if not, hit us on Twitter. Cyber Warrior, myself are going to be co-hosting this new series. So hope to see you all there. Hey.
I will do it. Don't hurt me, please, sir.
Sir, please don't hack me, please. No, it's going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to it, man. Alberto, again, it's been a pleasure having you on this show. It's not often due to time differences I get to have people on from different countries, and as someone who really looks into and really wants to understand the issues globally that we face. I really appreciate you being on, and I hope that things kind of get better for you. I hope things get better in Uruguay as far as you being able to do security research and not have to worry about the repercussions. And for all those from the U.S., look, don't go off and start pen testing a site without authorization. And if you do, please use a VPN to report it in an anonymous email and go to a Wi-Fi cafe and all the other stuff to protect yourself.
Well, use the correct the bounty, the bug bounty.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you've got the right information. Make sure you go and see if those companies have a bug bounty regulation and they have a procedure on reporting. So if you do that, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, if you haven't picked it up, look, I know a lot of people don't like the author. We're not going to get into the author of it, but look up the Robin Hood hacker and understand what he did wrong, and you'll do a lot of things better, at least within the U.S.
Yeah. And also Alberto has a great book on his experiences. It is a very good book. You can find it on Amazon as well. So I think that's going to be that's also a good learning resource for you guys.
I need to get that book there,
Mira,
Alberto.
Right there.
I'll have to buy that when I get paid.
I have it over there.
I don't get paid from this, so I'll have to buy that when I get paid from working.
Well,
yeah.
Let me tell you one thing. An hour before going online, I was searching my name in Bing.com, and I found out not this book, but the short version of it was available to download from torrent, and I got it from torrent, and I was reading it, and I said, "What the hell? It's on torrent." And I said, "Great! I mean, people can access to it. Information should be free. I don't fucking care. It's not for the money. I mean, I want to spread my story, and it's available for free on torrent."
Exactly. And look, and I completely agree with you. Information should be free. But understanding at the same time, and this is where brain power comes in, we have to make a living. So saying that, before I sign off, I do have Patreon. I do have CashApp. I do have Buy Me a Coffee. It's all in the description in YouTube. You can go to bio.link/CyberWarriorStudios. And you know what? Let me throw that up there for you real quick.
Yeah, and sorry for interrupting you. I mean, people should collaborate with you because you're doing this, and it takes time, it takes equipment, so it's important that people support you. And I will ask people also to support me in a change.org petition that I have to change computer laws in Uruguay, that you can go to my Twitter, and I will retweet that so it will appear on my
retweet that and tag me so I can share it, because I will gladly spread the word, because hearing your story, and I do got to go back and listen to the Darknet Diary story, which, if you're looking for a great podcast beyond Security Happy Hour, Darknet Diary is a great podcast, and Alberto was on there to deliver his story, and
episode 25.
Listen to his story.
Episode 25.
Yep. And it's a great story. It gives you the background, a lot more background on Alberto than we got here today. And seriously, send the change.org out, Alberto. Tag me, tag Eric. We'll spread the word, and I'll definitely sign it in a heartbeat. I didn't even know you had one of those out. So please tag me so I can see it and sign it and help you out. And again, Eric, thank you for joining us late in the session to do our collaboration video that we got coming out. Follow Eric on YouTube, eBellardo73. Please follow Alberto. Again, the links for Alberto and everything, his Twitter handle is all down in the description of the YouTube video. So if you're not on YouTube, you might want to get there, because that's where everything is at. Actually, it's on Facebook too. This one was live on Facebook.
He doesn't use Twitch?
Look, I use Twitch, but I can't put a description in there. Okay, guy? It's on Twitch. I'm on Twitch, but I can't put a description in. So you got to go over to YouTube or Facebook to find the description and the links down below. And look, it's been a pleasure having you all on here. I love you all. And please be safe this weekend or whenever you're watching this. And I will catch you all next time.
Thank you, guys. I love you. Thank you.